We're live on YouTube now.
We are now, the meeting is now live.
Yep. Okay, so are we all ready? Right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Standards Committee meeting today. Do we have any apologies? Tracy?
There are no apologies for the meeting, Councillor.
Thank you. Minutes from the previous meeting, which was circulated with the agenda. Any questions from the members? Are you all in agreement? Yep.
Yeah, sorry,
Go
just
for it.
one point.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
only
go
a
on.
small one. I know Councillor Oldham has got many attributes, but I don't think he can be in two places at once. Because in the minutes it said he was there and he's sent his apologies.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Alan, for that. Right, with that correction, everything else is okay? Yeah. Okay, right.
Councillor Russell has raised her hand to speak.
Yeah, go on, Catherine.
Thank you. I was indicating that I was in agreement with the minutes.
Good to see you here then. Right, so we will accept the minutes from the previous meeting. Okay, agreed? Yep. Item 3, deputation and public addresses. Are there any, Tracy?
No, we have none.
No, okay. Declaration of interest from any members? None, okay. I'm not aware of any matter of urgency to be considered item 5. Tracy, nothing there? Right, item 6, the committee to consider the report following the recent meeting on the standards working group. I'm going to ask Laurie and Tracy to go through the report. Tracy, are you going first or Laurie?
Yeah, yes, I can go first, if that's fine.
Yeah,
just that the working group met, it was way back in January, it seems a long time ago now,
right,
to consider the recommendations, and they were in support of the 25 recommendations. And obviously when the member draft code of conduct, when the member code of conduct is produced by the Local Government Association, a copy is brought to this committee. The committee did do some consultation on that. It had to be via email, given we weren't having meetings at the time. And the Local Government Association has acknowledged receipt of the committee's consultation comments, and they will be taking those into consideration. And they will be providing a copy of the code when published.
Thank you.
Thank you. Laurie, do you have anything else to add on that? Yeah.
Just one small comment, Mr. Chairman. I think these recommendations are welcomed by all local government.
That's very good to hear that. Okay. Does members have any question?
Councillor Brian Markham has indicated to speak.
Yeah, go on, Brian.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, when I read the report, it said at a recent meeting of the working group. I thought, well, don't remember very recent, but January. I agree entirely, almost entirely, with the report and the recommendations produced by the LGA and so on. One comment on the recommendations, there's number 2. On number 2, they're saying that candidates and indeed, I think councillors for local government shouldn't be required to publish their name and address. I understand why not every candidate and not every councillor would want in these times, so there are lots of reasons why their address might be withheld. However, my personal view is that there are lots of reasons why, in general, in 90% of the cases, perhaps, that name and address should be published, both for candidates and indeed for councillors. Some councillors are only contactable through political offices or through the council by email, for instance, and I think that's unsatisfactory. But how we amend that, so the way it's written, yes, it should not be required to. Maybe we don't need to amend it. But my main thing here is the recommendation to this meeting tonight, which is that we wait for the report when it's published, and then so that we adopt it or something. We haven't met for 6 months. We've got 9 months as a council. Maybe we should be recommending it onto somebody else, that they take up this report when it's published, and whether it's the standards committee of the West Northants, or the governance. But I'm not sure the recommendation as set out in this report is the best way forward with it, because nothing will happen as a result of that recommendation, because we won't be here. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Laurie, do you have any further comments on this?
Yes, I think that's a very valid comment that's been made. And obviously the new unitary authority will automatically take on board this issue. They have to, and they'll be so notified as a successor authority. But there's no reason why we couldn't amend the recommendation as per the minutes as advised.
Okay.
Chair, if I could, I think as this committee should make the point of recommending it to the new authority. Yes, they may take it on board, but we can say we've looked at it. They haven't yet, maybe, and we recommend it to them. For
Fully
adoption.
agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fully agree.
No.
Yeah.
That's good. Well done. Any other comments from any other members?
Councillor Russell is indicating to speak.
Go on, Catherine.
Thank you for that. I'm not sure if this is the right time to raise this or whether it should be at a different meeting, but I think it's important that if we're going to continue using virtual meeting facilities, which we may well do, given the increased numbers of meetings and councillors that we would have under the new authority, I'm concerned about the manner in which some councillors could attend a meeting. I was at a meeting recently where a councillor said that they couldn't, that there was something wrong with their camera, so we weren't able to see we weren't able to see them. And then the Centre for Public Scrutiny has recently issued some guidelines saying that it should not be acceptable for a blank space, as it were, at a virtual meeting, because it's not possible to know who's there or who isn't there. And I think that as a standard in public life, councillors should be aware that if they can't be seen, then they should be sending their apologies. That's what my view.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Councillor Marries is indicating to speak.
Go on, Les.
Yeah, can I just sort of amplify what Catherine's just said? So I totally agree with her. You know, because you never know with some of the characters, not necessarily characters we have to deal with, you know, who they've actually got with them at the time. So it's really helpful, you know, if you make it very clear that, you know, particularly with Zoom calls or similar such calls, that they got to clearly be shown on the screen. You know, it's no good just having a blank with a name, because it could be anybody behind that name and speaking. But can I just make a point on Councillor Markham's comments, to be honest with you? I totally disagree with his comments about people's names should be, addresses should be published, because a little while back, there's been a bit of an issue with, as councillors, as you know, and I think a number of guides come out from the central government about protecting yourself, particularly at surgeries or with residents. And at that time, I did have a conversation with the police sergeant that covers my address, actually, in Kingsthorpe. And she was really taken aback that she could actually find my address as public record at the time. So, you know, to me, I think we need to take advice, not just think about ourselves, you know, being open to the public. It's a case of what the police think as well. So they're the ones that are there to protect us all, not just as councillors, but the public. So I don't agree with Councillor Markham. I think that number 2 is vital and it should be made.
Okay. Thank you for that, Les. Anyone else?
Nobody else is indicating to speak.
Right. Okay. So obviously we got the recommendation on phase 3. We should go ahead and accept that. Are you all in agreement with that?
Chair, if I could, with the proposed amendment of recommending it to the West Northants.
Well, we can recommend and they can have a
Yes.
look at it. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I have no problem with that. Does anybody? No? Is that okay, Laurie?
You're on mute, Laurie.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I think I've already made that point.
Yeah.
We can alter the recommendation accordingly as a minute.
Okay, no, that's fine then. Right. So we do that and we move on to next item then. Item 7. This is the internal audit report. Now I know we don't have a Clive anymore, so who's going to take this one? Laurie, you. Well done.
Yeah, I'll start off with this. I don't want to say too much, Mr. Chairman, because the report is there before you with the recommendations.
Yeah.
Obviously, having considered the report, to move it on then to the Constitutional Working Group and then straight on to full council. What I was thinking there really was we might also think about, I can talk to the chairman of the Constitutional Working Group, whether it mightn't be better just to move straight to full council on this so we get it adopted as soon as possible. The important point about these recommendations, of course, is that, and you'll see under paragraph 4.3, which is the legal section, 4.3.1 emphasizes the point that what is recommended here is complementary to the adopted code of conduct. That is all it can be, because you can't have 2 conflicting codes of conduct being operated by a single council.
No.
To chaos, and the courts have already determined that, so it's the law. So this is a code of behavior where, of course, there are breaches, then, of course, we would fall back on the code of conduct, or the new council, when the new codes of conduct come in, will fall back on that code. But it's a complementary code. It sets out behaviors for both officers and for councillors as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Tracy, did you have anything else or you okay on that? Yeah. Right. Does members have any questions or anything?
Councillor Marriott's had his hand in the air to speak.
Les? Yep.
Yeah, yes, Chair. It's very similar to the last item. We just wonder what the shelf life is going to be. Because obviously the other districts and the county itself have actually got their own codes of conduct. And as we roll forward, obviously they'll need to incorporate that at some stage towards the Western Plans one. One of the issues obviously is, and I know the county have done this recently, is a report just before lockdown, I think it's the end of February, early March, where it's quite clearly there's a sort of emphasis in one of the reports about the way in which members and officers react. So obviously those are the sort of things we need to look at, understand what Laurie's saying, and we've got to move it through as quickly as we can, but we're just 9 months left of our authority. There's some things obviously that we need to take account of moving forward, as particularly as the unitary as well.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely right.
Yeah, Laurie.
Absolutely right.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Councillor Brian Markham would like to speak.
Brian?
Actually, I raised my hand to agree with what both Councillor Marriott said and Laurie said, so no problem. Yeah, okay.
Thank you for your support. Right, so if there are no other questions, are you happy with the recommendation on page 15 from 2.1 to 2.4? Are you all in agreement? Yes, by show of hands, yeah.
Everyone's in agreement.
Yeah, well done. Thank you very much. Right, item 8, the Standards Committee annual report. I'm going to ask Tracy to go through that. But before that, we'd like to take this opportunity and thank all the members and all our staff at the NBC for their support. So Tracy?
Thank you, Chair. The annual report just covers all the activities that the Standards Committee has undertaken over the past year. And if you approve the report tonight, then it'll then be published on the Standards Committee's webpage, along with the previous 2 years' reports. And nothing really to add to it because I think it's all within the report.
Okay. Any questions from members?
No hands in the air.
No, good. So are we all happy with that? Show of hand. Thank you very much. And once again, Tracy and Laurie, big thank you to you too, and all the independent members as well. Thank you. So item 9, Code of Conduct Arrangement Complaint. Laurie, you going first?
Report as there before you, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing further to add, unless there are any questions.
Okay,
But
thank you.
I would obviously mention, of course, that there are the issues of confidentiality about some of the issues there.
That's right. Okay. Members, open to you now. Anyone? Sorry, can't hear you, Tracy.
Sorry,
Oh,
Mr. Mahaffey would like to speak.
Yeah, go on.
I have a question around the timelines. Obviously, it's a very small number of complaints. They do seem to take an awful long time to get through the system. Is that typical or specific to these particular cases?
Happens to be the circumstances of these particular cases.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Nobody else is indicating
Okay.
to speak.
No. So I think everyone's happy to accept the recommendation on page 35 then. Show of hands. Yep, thank you. And item 10, there is no exclusion public address. So thank you very much, everyone. And is there anything else from you, Laurie or Tracy, before we close the meeting?
And we'll look forward to seeing you the next time.
Absolutely. Well,
And
thank you
everybody
very
else,
much,
of course.
yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. And yep, we'll see you soon. Stay safe. Thank you. Bye.
All right.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Chair.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.